Hey everybody, so just hope everybody's having a good day and good week, and I'm going to put out another video on if you're having some discomfort along the bottom of your foot. It may be associated with plantar fasciitis or some plantar fascia stiffness, adhesion, depending on if it just started, if it's been chronic. It can definitely be really annoying. So the earlier you catch it, typically the better, especially now with summer coming up. Sandals, walking on sand, uneven can make it worse, but it can also come up at any time with, changing shoes, wearing different shoes, increasing a running program, increasing an exercise program, going from wearing a high heel all the time to a flat shoe. Sometimes it's hard for that body to adjust, and a lot of times I think it's annoying because it can also probably stem from other things that are happening up higher in our body, around our hip, knee, back. We alter how we're moving, so then our feet are small to kind of have to carry the load of the rest of our body. So eventually, if something's off, again, repetitive stress can affect the foot. So those are just some ideas of things that may contribute. So definitely good shoe wear is really, really important. I always say try to go to a store where they're at least familiar with looking at your feet, whether you have a high arch, a low arch. Typically, people with plantar fasciitis or plantar fascia symptoms have a flatter arch, so getting a little bit of support of that arch can be helpful, but that means different things too. Sometimes there's more cushion in one shoe, sometimes there's less, and if there's too much, if it's too rigid, something that's too much and it feels worse. It also takes time for our body to adjust to that arch, or if there's an insert in there. So anyway, that's just kind of some quick info on plantar fasciitis, the importance of good shoe wear, and then I'm going to go through a couple exercises if you're feeling it, just some things that you can do, some tips to try to counter some of that annoyance in the bottom of the foot. So in the beginning, when you first have plantar fascia symptoms, I feel like it can be really painful. So grab like a water bottle, plastic water bottle, put it in your freezer, let it turn to ice. So you're getting some of that anti-inflammatory component from the ice, which I feel like people tend to like in the beginning. And then eventually, once you desensitize the area, the inflammation calms down, you could go into using like a racquetball or golf ball, something that's a little bit harder to get into, or there's plantar fascia massage, like balls, things that you can buy to use to roll out your foot that kind of get in the grooves of the foot, that kind of thing. Especially if it's more chronic, sometimes people like something like that, a little harder to get in there, break up some of that adhesion. So for today, we'll do the water bottle, and you can also have a regular size water bottle too. So you can start at the heel. So plantar fascia comes into the bottom of your heel to insert. A lot of times where that insertion is, people get discomfort because you get adhesion that kind of gets stuck to the bone there. So you put your heel on the roller or the water bottle, and you kind of roll your foot from the bottom of your heel up to underneath the joints of the bottom of your foot. If you find a spot like the bottom of your heel that if you're feeling that, you can kind of stay there for like 10 to 15 seconds. Keep rolling. You find another spot, stay there for 10 to 15 seconds. Kind of come off like the back part of the water bottle, kind of get in the groove of the plantar fascia a little bit more. If it hurts, you're probably on the right area, because when something gets stiff and adhered, or if it's kind of not in its happy place, it's not in its normal length, it hurts to break that up because it's kind of stuck and you're trying to promote blood flow to the area, and it can be sore after you first break that up. But after you break it up is when you want to try to move to get some of that length back or restore some of that normal mobility. So if you don't want it to be overly painful where you're like that, but you want to feel it at the same regard. If it's really inflamed and irritated, you're starting light just to desensitize the area, and then again working into it as it calms down. And I would do this for like 3 to 5 minutes, depending on where you're at, twice a day, because again, the quicker you can get on it and get it out, the better. The longer it lasts, the harder it is typically to get it to go away, because then it has a memory. So 3 to 5 minutes twice a day, just as like a guideline. Another thing that I would tell people is a lot of times I would have people get like some discomfort along the outside of the foot. You can, even though it seems like, oh, my hand, but you can use your hands to try to massage that, because that also helps to get some length back in the tissue. Another thing is right in here, people tend to have some discomfort. So underside of the heel and then to the inside. Again, use your thumb to try to kind of let it sink into the area and then pull it apart to break up some of that adhesion and restriction. And then you would follow it all the way up to your toes because it extends all the way up to the bottom of the toes, and it can get all jammed up in those joints there, which then affects toe mobility, and then that affects your walking too. So that's that. Another thing that you can do, seems silly, but once the plantar fascia gets all stuck under there, the intrinsic smaller muscles aren't doing what they should be doing. So this is to try and wake some of those muscles up, wake your arch up a little bit, get it to be more active to take some pressure off of that plantar fascia. So basically your foot's gonna be on like a towel, and you're gonna try to pick the towel up with your toes, and you're creating, I'll show you with this, but an arch with your foot as you're doing it. So foot's flat, curl your toes, and then back out. If it's really tight, I've had people where it spasms when they do this. So you're doing it, you're just doing it to do it. You're not doing it where it's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of spasm. You're doing it to activate the muscles, to get them going, but not to irritate it. So kind of see what it feels like and adjust it as you need to. So 2 sets of 10, once every other day or 2 days in a row, 1 day off, that kind of a thing. Another thing you can do on the tail is you're gonna have your foot flat. You're gonna try to open up, that's not great, doing it. You're gonna try to open up your toes, you're spreading them apart. So again, plantar fascia is real stiff under, you try to open up your toes, get that blood flow in there, break up some of that plantar fascia, and wake up some of those muscles in there. Again, you're not overstraining, you're just trying to open those toes apart and then back. A lot of times this is harder, especially if there's a plantar fascia issue. It's harder than what it seems like it should be. And opening up your toes, hold 2 to 3 seconds, relax. Again, 2 sets of 10, once every other day, 2 days in a row, 1 day off, that kind of a thing. And then I'm just gonna show one more for mobility. This is active mobility. The reason I'm showing active is, again, is it tends to be a chronic type of an issue, or it can be a chronic issue. So again, we're looking to promote blood flow. So, and I move chairs just because it gives more space, so I'm not jammed up with my foot right on the ground there. So edge of the bed, or higher chair just to clear some space. You're gonna point your toe, but you're not overstraining to point it, it's just pointed. When you get to the top, you're gonna flex, you're gonna bring your toes back towards you. Should feel a little bit of stretch behind in your calf, maybe into the foot. Hold there for 5 and then come back down. Point your toe, bring it back up, hold for 5 seconds, come back down. And then, so it's like you're gliding the tissue with that point and then flex. Not overstraining on either direction. And then do like 15 to 20 of those. Again, every other day, 2 days, 1 day off. The goal is to get it to feel better. So if it's sore from doing things, give the day off. If it feels like, oh, this is really helping, then do the 2 days on, 1 day off kind of thing. You can roll your foot, and I would roll your foot every single day, again, to try to break up that memory, because you can break it up, but if it's been there and it has that memory, especially if other things are off, it's gonna wanna go right back. So there's some quick tips for some discomfort, if you have discomfort along the bottom of your foot, and any questions, just let me know. Have a great day.